Alcohol-Free Superpowers, the podcast for those questioning the role of alcohol in their lives and choosing clarity over conditioning. I'm your host, Jennifer Reed. We're talking truth, transformation, and what really takes to reclaim your power. Let's dive in.
Today I have Kim, who is the founder of Sober is the New Cool. She's 13 years alcohol-free, and she's going to start by telling us how it all began, how it started for you.
So basically, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really happy to be here. So about 13, 14 years ago, my youngest son, Matthew, who is an avid football player, started having grand mal seizures. And so from one day to the next, we thought, oh, it was football related, concussions, whatever. Needless to say, he would be epileptic and would never be able, with his medicine, to be able to have alcohol. So the first year we had 11 seizures, and until we got the medicine right and whatever. And once we kind of navigated that, we went from 5 nights being out a week, practicing, him being with his friends, to absolutely nothing. So after a few months where we thought we were okay, I said, okay, Matthew, you've got to get out and start going out with your friends. So he said, okay, we'll try. Half an hour after he'd leave, he'd call me and say, Mom, come and get me. So after the third time, I said, okay, we've got to talk about this. This doesn't make sense. And he said, Mom, everybody drinks or everybody smokes pot. I just don't fit in. And so I said, oh, come on. You don't need alcohol to have fun. And as I said it, I had the biggest glass of wine in my hand. And to this day, it's like I can see that moment. And it was like a truck hit me. And I said, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months, Matthew, to prove to you that alcohol is not necessary. Because I did drink wine every night, with dinner or while I was cooking, whatever. And so 3 months came and went. And he said, you see, Mom, now you could be like everybody else. And I said, okay, I'm going to do another 3 months. And then it was 6 months. And, then I realized very quickly on that he was embarrassed to say he couldn't drink, even though he was epileptic. Even though, and I thought, everywhere I went also the first 6 months, everybody said, oh, you don't have a problem. Just come in the corner, have a drink with us. We won't tell anybody. And I was like, wow, I made a promise to my son. And then I realized I was 52 at the time. And I thought, if it's this hard for me to navigate social situations, how is he ever going to get through this? So my sister created the logo. Like, I came up with Sober is the New Cool. She made the design on our kitchen island. And we started a Facebook page more for him, just for him to be able to say, I'd hear him say to his buddies when they would come in with their backpacks, with the beer or whatever, and they'd say, you can't bring alcohol in the house because my mom stopped drinking for me. So that was his way, and my way, I guess, was I was saying, I'm not drinking for him. And no one was talking about it at the time other than Hello Sunday Morning. That was the only thing that was online. And this Facebook page just exploded. And it was, first of all people from the United Kingdom, believe it or not. Okay. It was young women, mothers, just reaching out saying, how did you do it? What did you do? Some mothers had children that were epileptic. Others it was just they were sober curious or thought they had a drinking problem. And how could I just be online talking about this like there was no issue, And I said, I have to talk about it like we're talking about the sun because there's so much shame associated with it, right? So it started like that. And here we are 13 years later, and we are helping people around the world. I'm still a one-woman show, but I have these sober ambassadors around the world that will go with other women for coffee or, just be the like some sort of support. I don't charge anybody for anything. It's strictly just a way, I guess, of, making sure that nobody's left behind.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. That's a great story. What is your son doing now?
He is working. He's 8 years seizure free. So that is really good. But at the beginning, we did have the issue of alcohol with the medication. boys will be boys, right? And so we had a few episodes like that. And now he's really, I mean, he's had a lot of friends actually that have come out of rehab or whatever. And the friends will come to the house and pick up some t-shirts when somebody gets out of rehab with Sober's the New Cool on it, just to, break the ice kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So he doesn't drink. I mean, he's had trouble with it in the sense that because that seems to be where it is everywhere. If you're at a wedding and you're young and people are getting married, and so that's been kind of hard for him to navigate.
Yeah.
But now he's just turned 20. He'll be 29 in August. And this past year, I found there was a real switch. Don't ask me why. And he's lucky. He seems to, the younger kids I find right now are much more open to everything, right? They're
Yeah.
used to not drinking and driving, or, they know that's kind of the rule where we
Right.
didn't grow up with that. And you know what? They're really happy when somebody gets their life together. They really find that that's a really cool thing now.
Yeah.
So I think that it's shifting. We have a long way to go. But for him, I think, and a lot of people will say, not only did, he had a lot to go through because football was his it was his whole life. It's just what he loved. And having that taken away from him, he could have gone down a different path. And he chose to, so I'm really proud of him. We do an international walk every September for International Recovery Month. And last year we had 38 countries that joined us virtually. Yeah. So he, that's pretty cool for him too. Seeing that people from around the world and his friends, all kinds of different people with not only addiction, it can be a choice not to drink. It can be like him, epileptic or medical reasons. So it's really opened a door to, and I think with him being young, it's good because the young people, especially the young men, could relate better to him. I'm more like the mother figure, let's say, so they don't get so mad because it's not their own mother saying something.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the truth, right?
Yeah.
So he's really, really great. And he's met a lot of people along the way where he's been at the gym or something and people have recognized him from being on TV, and they'd say, "Are you that boy?" And then they start talking, and then they say, men 45 or 50 say, "I've decided to give up alcohol. It wasn't good for me." And it's turned into quite a nice story to help
Yeah.
others, just know that they're not alone, and it's okay to become the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think removing that is probably a huge part of becoming the best version. How long is the walk that you do every
So
Sunday?
it's about an hour and a half. There's
Okay.
more talking at the beginning. Everybody kind of, and there's one or two women will help, and they do a stretching for 20 minutes before it starts, and just to get everything going. And last year we had a young woman that did it, and she called me the day before and said, "I've just got the worst anxiety. I always have. I don't know if I could do this tomorrow." So I said, "Listen, Tanya, if you want to do it, fine. If not, we'll figure something." And so she started the walk, saying, "Okay, we're going to start stretching." And she just said, "You know what? I'm going to be honest with everybody. I've just got the huge sense of being afraid right now. My anxiety is at an all-time high," which was great because everybody suffers from anxiety at one time. So everybody was like, the shoulders just dropped. So that was a really nice way to start the event. And then we walked around for about an hour and a half, depending. And it's pretty flat now where we are because we have a lot of mothers with baby strollers that
Okay.
come, which is pretty nice to see young women that have gotten their life together. And then at the end, people just kind of, have coffee and talk for a bit. And it's really just a nice way for people and people that are in the park. We do it at this beautiful mountain area, and there's a place where there's a lake, so we can go up and down, and people can kind of navigate where they want to walk. And people that are there join in. And because we all know someone or somebody that struggled at one time, or it seems to be. So people are really it's quite something to be a part of. I'm really, really happy.
So if people can't go there, can they do it virtually?
Yes. So that's what they do. Like my girls in London will have a team of sometimes two, sometimes 10 from their own neighborhood. I have France, I have Italy. Last year we had a few girls in New York, unfortunately couldn't find anybody to walk with, but they walked alone. So we did like a FaceTime kind of thing while they were walking, so they felt like they were included. So, but I do try and find people to walk with other people. In India, we have a huge following there. So they have a lot of different, and they've come up with different runs and things for different events during the year, which I never knew India had such a problem with alcohol.
Huh.
So that's quite interesting. But this year we're really starting to talk about it now. As soon as this event in May is going to be over, to try and get people so they won't be alone. That's my goal this year, is to try and make sure, because I really did feel bad for the girl in New York, especially New York. It
Yeah.
just seems there should have been somebody there,
Yeah.
but people go away on the weekend. So I think this year we're going to try to fix that problem.
Gotcha. Now, what's in May? You mentioned.
Okay, so in May, 5 years ago, we started doing something called the White Party.
Okay.
And so it's a women's only event. And basically, it's women from around the United States and Canada that get together for a dinner, and everybody just wears white. That's basically what it is. And it's just a way for women to connect that have been online together. And this year, I have to say, we're going to be 40 women at a place called The Maze, which is the first non-alcoholic club in New York City, private club.
Okay.
They're allowing us to do our event there.
Cool.
So we're going to be there. So we have people from San Francisco, we have people from Texas, we have people from Georgia, we have people from upstate New York, obviously, New Jersey. I've got people from Canada coming this year. And so the Friday night, we just have a beautiful dinner. We have someone that's going to come and interview some of the ladies before the event starts, just to, promote the White Party for following years to come. And then they'll leave. And then after that, we all go back to our hotels. And the Saturday morning, weather permitting, but we've never had a problem so far. We all go to Central Park.
Okay.
And we do a walk from 11 to 1. And then, some people have family, or, they come with their husbands. So everyone's invited to the walk. Or, some women go shopping. Everyone's entitled to do with what they will, but a lot of people come to the walk. And it's just it's just kind of I think the whole night before, it breaks the ice for the walk the following day. And I've had women that, the first one we had 5 years ago, I never, I place people where I think they should be seated. And one year, these two young women said, "Oh, we don't want to sit there. Can we sit together?" And I said, "No, no, no. And then they explained to me that the first year when they got there, they didn't know each other, and they were both just sober for a year. And they became sober best friends since that year. So those two I allowed to sit together,
Okay.
because it's just too cool of a story at 30 years of age. And, to
okay.
become so close. And they're from different places. So that's their, 1 year the time of year where they get together every year. So that's pretty cool. But it doesn't really matter who sits with who. It seems that they become just, I think, because everybody talks very openly about whatever their situation is, whether it was them or a family member. I had a lot of mothers and daughters that came last year, which was pretty cool, because the daughters were looking at their mothers with such pride that their mothers were sober, or vice versa. So it's really quite, it's really more of a wellness, because being sober, everybody can stop drinking to a certain extent. It's after, when life starts again, not to go back into those same habits. So this is just a way for those women to have that extra support when they go home. And, they're all excited to come again this year. So it'll be another great night.
And May what? What night is?
May 15th. It's
Okay.
always on a Friday. But
Okay.
next year we're going to do it the week. It's always been that week, but there's too many graduations. So too many people haven't been able to come. So we've decided after this year that we will change it for the week after because that seems to be where everybody could come. So
It's interesting.
yeah, yeah.
How long have you been doing the white party?
This will be the fifth one.
Oh yeah, you said the 5th anniversary.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I think this episode will probably be on the 15th. So can people join that, or can they do it that day, even though it will be?
What do you mean? Do you come?
Like,
You
can they
mean
still do the walk? Or
the Saturday will be the 16th?
yes.
We can, if they can, we can, you know what? Yeah, I never even thought of it, but while we're walking in Central Park, I could go live at one point. Maybe we'll say, anywhere between 11:30 and 12, so everybody has a chance to meet. And then if they can join our live, I can let them come in one at a time if they want. Sure, that would be a fantastic thing.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do it. I like it. Hmm. Very
I'm
cool.
lucky. The other thing about the white party, it's never really been about the gifts. It was, but in the last 2 years, I've had some incredible women step up. And, they're just into wellness and making sure women feel the best about themselves. So I have one woman giving these fabulous blankets that are just so luxurious with everybody's initials donated with a white heart because I do something called the White Heart Initiative, which is a tiny little white heart that people can donate to. And or I just hand these out as I'm walking around, no matter where I am. And sometimes I'll just put it in somebody's hand and say, I'm just glad you exist. Sometimes if I think somebody's sad, I just put it in their hand and say, somebody's thinking of you. Hold on, keep going. Depends. Sometimes I don't say anything. And I've been doing this for quite some time. And it's quite incredible that this tiny little white heart has been so instrumental in so many people's healing. They they put it in their wallet, they put it in their pocket, they hang on to it for dear life sometimes.
Yeah.
And, uh, it's become quite a thing that I have one young woman actually now, a mother that's gone back to university. So she I sent her a whole bunch and she went to a sorority house where there were these young girls that had mental health issues and anxiety and problems with alcohol or pot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a whole thing with the white heart. So she was like my white heart angel that went, because I can't be everywhere, right?
Right.
So that's part of it. And in Central Park, somehow last year I just walked up to this young couple and they were getting married and I gave them each a heart. And the young man had the white heart for his new wife that he was going to give her later on. So we had 3 white hearts instead of 2. And it was quite something. It was quite, So that was a great moment. And all I said was, may happiness always find you. It was it's very organic, I guess, the way it just happens.
Huh?
Sometimes I'll be in Costco and I'll just give somebody a white heart. Don't ask me why. And
Yeah.
they always say something like, you have no idea what I was going through today. So, yeah,
That's very cool.
it is. It is. That's, I think, something that everybody can relate to. And it's just kind of a nice little reminder, and it's small and they can hold on to it and know somebody's thinking about them.
Uh-huh. Do you sell those, or can people like?
Yes. So what I do is like I've had women say, I'd like to have a white heart sent to somebody. So they make a donation and it comes in a nice little white card with a white heart on it, obviously. And I handwrite it to whoever they want it, signed by them. Or sometimes people just want one, right? If they get merchandise, which whatever I sell, everything goes back to the community to buy white hearts or whatever. They get a white heart with it. But the white heart thing is just something I decided to do because with, the tariffs, with shipping, with the cost of everything right now, everything's so expensive. So this is just a nice way to let someone know you're thinking of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is very cool. I love that. Now, for people to buy them, do they go to your website? I know
Yes,
you're on Instagram.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
And
on the website, it's soberisthenewcool.ca. And
okay.
there's a place where it says donate, and then you just donate, and then you send me a little note saying that the white heart, whether it goes to you, the person, or it's or wherever they want it sent. And I was in London, England, for the last 3 weeks in March because my son moved there for work. So I got to meet a lot of the women that I've been helping for 10 years plus in London, and they all showed up wherever they met me with their white heart that they
That's so
had.
cool.
So that was, yeah. So I gave them all a new white heart while I was there, or a few to give out to women that they feel need a white heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is such a cool story. Um, so you have the website. You're on Instagram. Is there other places where? Because I think you've done a few podcasts. Do you have a podcast or do you?
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have a podcast. I've done I think I'm at 150 podcasts now. Well, in 13 years. It's
Yeah, yeah.
13 years. So it's a long, long time. It's not that many. But I just do Instagram lives. And on these lives, um, I think I've just been so lucky in my life to have met who I've met. I just seem to be at the right place at the right time. And it's just all stories that bring hope and inspiration. And sometimes someone could have 300 people. I couldn't care less if they're. I had a movie director producer that did Hannah Montana, Lizzie McGuire, all those Disney Channel things, and he just is coming out with a movie called Keep Coming Back because his daughter had an addiction problem. So he's a big shot, but I'll do somebody that has 200 followers. I really don't. It's just about if you've got a great story, and I just feel that you never know who's listening at that time and how it's going to touch their heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. In your journey, can you talk about some of the benefits that you have, and maybe some that you've seen in other people that you can share?
I think the best thing I've seen is, I think for me at least, um, I think people have the misconception, well, she stopped for her son. I stopped for my son, but it was the best gift I gave myself. One, I was always, and I don't seem to be shy, but I was very nervous inside whenever I'd get to social places and whatever. And that wine or whatever just seemed to be
Yeah.
that liquid courage.
Yeah.
And I feel that I've learned so much more how to be myself, and I communicate a lot better being
Yeah.
sober and clear
Yeah.
headed. I think I'm much more open to so many things. I sleep better. I try meditating. I'm not the greatest at it because to sit still is a bit hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But I was asked to walk in Fashion Week for a woman that does in Fashion Week. She has people that are everything from mental health to a woman that has a mastectomy, like just creating fashion in a different space. And obviously, sober free. All the events are
Very
sober
cool.
free. And it's just, I mean, that almost killed me because I got to tell you, doing that at 62, I was so nervous and all those little things came back. I'm 5'2", I'm not skinny enough. What am I doing? This is so dumb. Like I'm never gonna, all those voices came back into your head. But I made it. I got through it. And it was, I'd never been in a room where there was 200 plus people that were sober. And the buzz in there was just, and I guess it's remembering everything. I used to say that at the beginning when people would meet me. Well, what do you say when you're at a wedding or whatever? And people say, well, how can you not drink? And I'd say, I never want to miss another memory.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? That's really, I think, one of the biggest gifts. And just overall health. I mean, I look better at 65. I just turned 65 in January. I look better at 65 than I did at 45. I mean,
Yeah, it is hard to believe that you're 65. You do.
but without the alcohol, there's a huge difference. I'm much more active, and I watch what I eat. Just everything, and I think I'm just overall happier. And most of the women I've met seem to, and men also, for their kids, they think they show up. They're always present. For me, for my kids, they know when I say I'm going to do something, they know they can count on me. I think that's the biggest gift that I gave them,
Yeah.
you know. Because there's still those moments. Like I'm not gonna, people say, "Oh, you're 13 years. It's so easy." No, it's not so easy. It's like never eating a piece of chocolate cake again, or another, your favorite chocolate bar, or your favorite cookie. There's still those moments. I would love to have that glass of champagne, and I just kind of do a 360 and get
Yeah.
out of wherever I am. Right?
Yeah. That's cool. Did you, after you did the 3 months and the 6 months, did you ever do like a program or anything, or you just
I got
went?
hypnotized. I got
Okay.
hypnotized years before for smoking. So 5 years prior, I had gotten hypnotized for smoking, and I thought, well, you know what? When I did, and I found it hard not drinking. So I figured, you know what? I didn't realize how hard it would be when I stopped drinking because, every restaurant was like pasta and red wine,
Yeah.
sushi and rosé. There was always that thing in my brain. So I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go back to this woman I had met. And I went, and it just kind of took the edge off for me.
Yeah.
And, and I guess in a way, my son being sick, I was doing it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I did have one of those moments, it was really about, in case he would have a seizure in the night, I would be like fully present. So I didn't really have that time to worry about not drinking because I was so worried about him.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think made it easier. But I think changing everything in my life. I remember somebody said to me, every day do something different. Whether you go for a walk, instead of turning right, turn left. If you go up a street that you normally do something else. So I just got into all these different things and I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I guess I was just open to being, a better mom because at that time when we did um, go through this with Matthew, we ended up at a psychologist. And at one point, the psychologist had said, are there things you want to say to one another? And so, him being a 15-year-old or 14-year-old boy, I said, okay, I'll start. And then I said to him, I'm sorry, I feel like I failed you as a mother because he had been going through a lot of stuff. He had been, he was really sad, the whole football thing, feeling, there was so many things that I guess I just didn't realize. Him being a boy, number one, you don't think that,
Mm-hmm.
kids are going to make fun of them because he was made like, like a football player. So a lot
Okay.
of people made fun of him for that. I mean, so there was just so many things I learned, and I guess I I just realized without that alcohol, because all the kids came to my house. How did I miss certain things? I guess was what I meant by not being the best mom for him.
Oh.
So that was a good moment though, because then he was able to say something to me. And he's really, really, the other day he said to me, Mom, you should be so proud of yourself. You started in the kitchen and you know people around the world and you're doing so much good. And, coming from a 28-year-old boy, yeah, that was quite something too.
Sweet. Oh, yeah. Excellent story. Love it. Okay, well, you've said where people can find you.
Yeah. The best place actually is Instagram.
Okay.
I have two accounts. So at one point I got hacked. So there was another
Oh.
account, my regular Kim Bellis account, my personal one that was supposed to be kind of turned into that. So
Mhm.
but it's sober dot is dot the dot new cool, like with a
Okay.
dot in between a period. That's the best place because I do answer all my DMs. And if you're living somewhere, no matter where you are in the world, I try and find somebody to help you or, just go for coffee or go for walks or, just be someone because, and I'm not one of those people that believe, I mean, I'm really great. I think AA is great. I think everything's great no matter what you do. But if you have a little bit of a slip, I'm not one of those people that think everything that's good that you did before is forgotten. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like let's rally around you and let's just get
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
to you
Like it's
know?
just a stepping stone. It's not
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a failure. It's a learning thing. Yeah.
And at 65, I've never met a perfect person yet. Right?
That's a good way to put it. Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if anyone ever needs anything, I'm sure there's some way, somehow, that we can find someone in their neighborhood to help them. Sometimes you just need somebody to go for coffee with, or somebody to text with, so that you're not alone.
If today's episode hit home, you're not alone and you're not broken. You're waking up. If you're ready for more honesty, more clarity, and more real talk, make sure to follow, share, or leave a review. And if no one told you today, you're powerful AF. Catch you next time on Alcohol Free Superpowers.